Hi everyone, this is Gal Julie Makes. Just wanted to come on today with a video testing out various acrylics on the gel plate. So what I've done is I've got these are all in my stash, and I'm always looking for that elusive acrylic that will, you know, really pull well and give you the best sort of texture and the most refined detail basically. So I've got a range of my paints here. I'm going through a blue phase at the moment, so I wanted to include some blue. I would have liked to have done them all the same colour, but unfortunately I don't have every single one of these in the same colour. So we'll go with what I've got. This was the cheapest purchase. This was £1 just in your average craft shop. And this make is Royal and Langnickel. Series acrylic. This one is greyish blue. So this one is actually, it comes up as cobalt blue, but it doesn't really look particularly like cobalt blue, but it's a beautiful colour and it does actually pull really well, that one. And this one is greyish blue. Now I just wanted to show you on this one, I will talk about this a little bit. On this one we've got 3 crosses, and in the Amsterdam range this means that this is the best light fast quality. So light fast is basically when you want to use it for work that you're going to sell. So it might be hung up in somebody's house, it might be going into a gallery, and it basically means, you know, you want that colour to last a lifetime if possible, so you don't want it to fade. So that's good if you're thinking about selling your work. Then I've got Winsor & Newton Galleria acrylic, this one in Prussian blue hue, and this one again, I looked on their website and it said that's got the best light fast rating in this range. So again, that would be good for gallery or work you're going to sell. I've kind of got into this a little bit more after I'm into watercolour at the moment as well, so there's a lot of talk around light fastness and watercolour, so I'm kind of bringing it into my acrylic work now. If you want to do prints, then you're probably not going to be worried so much about light fastness, but if you want to actually, like I say, sort of, you know, do a pull and then frame it and sell it, then you're going to be thinking more towards your light fast ratings and getting good ones. So this one is sort of next standard up from my experience, from what I've paid for these items. So you may see them differently, you may think, well, that one's generally more expensive than that one, but when I purchased them, this is generally the order they ran in. Then I've got Amsterdam Expert Series. Again, it's got, this one's oxide black, and this one has got the 3 crosses, which means, again, it's excellent light fastness. Then I'm going on to the Golden Fluid Acrylic, which is a much runnier acrylic. It's more fluid than the previous ones I've shown you. But Golden are a great brand, and I will check the light fastness on that one. But generally, I think all of the Golden acrylics are well renowned for being light fast. They don't have too many extra sort of added horrible extras that would prevent that. So generally, you can rely on those. Liquitex acrylic in Payne's Gray is my next one. Sorry, I should have said that one's phthalo blue green shade. And this one, yeah, Payne's Gray, which is one of my favourite colours. And this one is Series 1, Light Fastness 1, which again is an excellent rating. So we can rely on this one to hold its colour. And that's a heavy body. So that's going to be a thicker acrylic, which means you've got more time to play with it on the plate. All these other ones, especially the fluid acrylic is going to be the least time that you've got to work with. So that's going to be a quick bish bash bosh, you know, get everything done, pull it quick, or you're going to lose. I mean, obviously you can pull it with a layer of matte medium, or you can pull it with another acrylic once it's dry. But if you just want to get that fine detail work, you know, purely what you've laid down, no background colour, no messing with matte medium, then you need to get that pulled quick. And last one, which I'm really enjoying working with at the minute, is Golden Heavy Body Acrylic. This is the Iridescent Bronze Fine. So again, this has got, you know, best light fastness, bit of a tricky one, best light fastness that you can get. And they've got various heavy body and open acrylics, but this one was one I was recommended to by someone. And it's great for like work with foliage and things like that. So anyway, I will just show you these. I've got my 4-inch round gel press gel plate, I've got my small brayer, and I've got some I've done some recent work with this on another video, but I've got some craft sort of embellishments. So I've got some keys made out of metal, and I've got some cabacons, which, you know, I thought these are nice because they're like almost like little frames. Now I'm going to use these. I did want to use foliage initially, but I'm not going to use foliage, even though it's my favourite medium to work with on the plate, because I wanted to make sure that, you know, it's not falling apart. And with these, I know they're sturdy and I can clean them each time, so they'll be ready to go. Okay, so I'm starting off with my cheapest acrylic, the £1 Royal & Langnickel. And it's been a while, so I've used way too much acrylic here. Sorry, the gel plate has sort of moved a little bit off screen there as well. I didn't want to have to keep standing up and looking at the camera because that would be a bit disruptive. So sometimes I'm going on my own judgment as to where I think the main focal area is. Obviously I could have just drawn a line and then matched it up, but I wasn't thinking at the time. So anyway, I'm laying my objects here, just to remind you as well that metal can damage your plate if it digs in. So what I'm doing is any objects that have got sort of a raised area, like some of the keys have got a domed effect, I'm just making sure they're face up so they're not digging into the plate. And here I'm using newspaper print just to pull that excess paint off. Newspaper print's quite good for this actually, because it's very thin, so it can get into all those nooks and crannies. And I'm just going to take off the objects really carefully because I have got a thicker layer of paint than I would have liked, so I don't want those objects sort of sliding around and distorting what they should look like. Now I'm going to pull this with rice paper, which is one of my favourite types of papers to use. It's good for picking up fine detail. It's also very strong as well, and it has a sort of toothy textured side and a smooth side, which is what I'm feeling for there. I like to use the textured side. Now annoyingly in this video, on this first sheet here I use the textured side. On the second sheet I use the smooth side. So it may be something you want to experiment with because you may like the effect you get overall from one over the other. So just have an experiment with this. Next colour then is the Amsterdam acrylic. We'll talk about the results at the end, and I'm going to label them all, so we'll do them in order. So last time I put far too much acrylic down, so this time I don't want to end up, I've just changed my paper underneath, which is newspaper print paper. Way too much, so we can always add more, but I'd rather not have to take that much off. So we don't want a really thick layer. That's just about right actually. So we can take a bit of that off our brayer. Obviously the thicker the layer, the more it's going to move around and the less sort of refined detail you're going to get on these. There we go, so you can see the difference in the colours. So that was our cobalt blue and this is our greyish blue. Not that I think that really looks overly like cobalt blue from other cobalt blues I've seen. And this is our next slightly more expensive range. And I'm using rice paper to pull on, so I'm going to do next one along. And spot the non-deliberate mistake here. I actually left one of the objects on the plate and it took me all that time to realise. Got much more has been taken off the actual background on that one, so that's an interesting one. So I'm going to leave that there. And the next one we're using is the Prussian blue hue, which is the Galleria acrylic. This one actually was quite a surprise. It came out a lot sort of thinner than I expected. It almost reminded me a bit more of like the fluid acrylic that I'll use later. So this one I feel like you're going to have to work with quite fast. And there's my pull-off sheet. So I think this is actually looking quite nice in itself now, this sheet. That may be useful for something further down the line. And this one again is quite smudgy, taking off the objects. So
Yeah, just be careful depending on which type of paint you're using. And now we're using the Amsterdam Expert series. Again, this is great light fastness, really good quality. This is the oxide black. So we'll see what this is like in comparison to the Galleria acrylic previously. I wouldn't say it's as sort of runny or almost sticky seaming as the last one. But I do think it's going to give us quite a good pull, this one, just looking at how it looks on the plate. Not too smudgy, this one, actually, so not too much trouble when I'm picking up the actual objects there. And it is looking like it's picked up quite a lot of nice fine detail on this one, so we'll have a closer up look at that one at the end. And I liked the idea of being super organised on this one, so I am actually numbering the pull-off sheets as well, just for future reference in case I want to use those for anything. So next colour is the Phthalo Blue Green shade in the Golden Fluid Acrylic. So this is the one I'm going to have to work with in the quickest amount of time because it's very liquidy. So it's going to dry quickly, basically. I think I was just quickly pointing out there the sort of transparency that you could see on some of the background that had been pulled there, and I'm kind of seeing that here as well. Now when I pulled this one, I really had to put some extra work in, extra brayer in, and I still wasn't happy with how it had pulled off because of that sort of transparent, really thin paint effect. Because it's fluid, it's obviously dried really quickly. So what I decided to do was go in with a thicker layer of the fluid acrylic just to give it a fair shot. So you'll see me do that same colour again now, basically. And as you can see here from the pull-off sheet, the colour is a lot stronger, a lot thicker. Also, you can see that now on the actual gel plate itself as well. So even though I'm going in again, giving it help with the brayer, it's come out a lot more vibrant this time. So it depends what effect you're going for. And you could do a ghost print here and add a layer of acrylic to pull, but I'm just cleaning the plate off just for quickness.
So this time I'm going with the Payne's Grey Heavy Body Liquitex. And just a little bit. Don't need much, which is good because it makes them last a lot longer. And again, this is, oh actually we will need a bit more. Some of it's hard to tell till you put them down. I should know this by now because I've used this one so much. But still got a lot of the background colour, and this one has obviously smudged a fair bit compared to the others, so maybe I put this on a bit too thick. I have got good results from this one before. Let's just give that a rub.
And this is where I've come in with that smooth side of the rice paper, so it's going to
look again, it's
sort of,
you know,
slightly different perhaps to the textured side.
See, that has come out very detailed. It's just unfortunate that a lot of them moved. But that's, again, that's another factor to bear in mind. So what I might do is just give this one another chance. Underneath that one maybe. Let's just give it one more go with not quite so much on there.
Okay, so it took me a while to get a sort of layer that I was happy with. But, you know, you've just got to persevere sometimes. Sometimes you can end up taking too much off, so you've got to add more on again. It's just again, as I've said all the way through, the effect you're after. It didn't really look that much different on the pull-off sheet, but there wasn't as much smudging in this case. But when I look back at the two, I think I actually prefer the one where there was the smudging. So this is why it's good to experiment with these things. And I'm just making some more notes there that I'll go through with you at the end. So next we're going to be using the Golden Heavy Body Bronze Iridescent Fine. Now this is one I use a lot with foliage, and it does pull really well.
This golden does go a long way, to be honest. Without, so you know, it's expensive, but it's more expensive than the others. It's one of the more expensive paints I buy, but it will last you a lot longer than some. So that's what we've got on the pull. And then again, this is like a heavier body acrylic, so you don't need to rush taking these off. Just take your time, and then, you know, they're not going to smudge or blur.
So at this point I started working backwards just on, you know, writing in which paint I used, and eventually I go through and write as well what light fast rating it is, so I know that for future reference if I want to use these paints again, or if I want to create a particular type of effect. So I'll whiz through that, and then we'll come to see what it all looks like at the end. But I think it is good to get a bit of organisation into your life when you are thinking of doing a lot of prints, especially like we said, if you're thinking about selling them, you know, onto the public, and you want that light fast quality, you want to be able to reassure someone that it has that. So I'll catch up with you in a minute.
So looking at that all together, I like them all. So obviously it really does depend what effect you're going for. This one has picked up a lot of the backgrounds. That was that cheap brand, the cheapest brand, has picked up a lot of the background still. Now that's obviously because maybe not quite so much was pulled. When I pulled it off, if we look back, we've got number 1 there, but it does seem to have pulled fairly well. So if you're interested in getting some background amongst your embellishments, and that one is an interesting one, I think, and it has picked out detail pretty well. It reminds me of something I can't quite put my finger on, but I do really like that one, and that one I have used with florals, and it's worked ever so well. So yeah, it's a contender. Obviously it hasn't got a light fast rating, so you probably want to do a print if you were going to use that one, but again, it's really interesting. So I'm going to put on here not light fast. I don't know that for a fact, but as there's no light fast rating on it, I'm going to assume it's not. And this one, the Amsterdam Standard Acrylic, which is light fast, has put a very dainty, that's kind of like quite a, it's come out very well in terms of, like, you know, removing everything from the background and just leaving that fine detail on each piece. So if you're going for a delicate sort of effect, I'd say that one's a nice one. Number 3, which is also light fast. Not quite the effect I was going for, but that one does seem to kind of suffer a bit more from the smudging, like I said, and not picking up such fine detail in certain areas. So that one for me is a bit too smudged, I think. But again, it might be the thickness of the paint. So if you did like that particular paint, persevere with it, I would say. But for me, not so sure. I do love the colour though, so I might just carry on using that one just for general painting, I think, rather than, you know, using on the gel plate. So number 4 was the Amsterdam Expert Acrylic, and again, a little bit smudged, that one, but it has picked out some of the finer detail. You can see sort of in this bit here, which some of the others maybe don't, like the golden fluid. So, and again, it's a bit of contrasting colour, so it's tricky to say with that one, but I think it has turned out well. Again, depends what effect you're looking for. 5 and 6, so this was the fluid, sorry, 5 and 5A, fluid acrylic. Quite dreamy like in this one. I do like the way it sort of cancels out some of the coloration on the bits, like the underside of the embellishments, because a lot of these obviously show that detail, but this one, if you're just looking for something a little bit more sort of maybe like using a stencil or something, then that gives you that effect. This one not so much on that kind of clear white. I just mean these sort of areas that are under that sort of Cabochon. They're very clear white, whereas on here, look, you can see those sort of bits of detail. So it depends again what you're looking for, but I hope this is helpful for you anyway. And then we've got the more expensive ones now. This one did smudge, which is why I did it again, and it's picked out the detail really well on these, look. So obviously you have got white areas, but you've also got details that show, you know, this is actually an object in 3D rather than just a flat shape. So I do like that about that one, but I love this effect here, the way it has smudged actually, it's quite nice. So again, depends what you're looking for. Bit of background left on in this one as well, which makes it quite interesting, whereas all that's pretty much gone on here. So it depends what you want to achieve. And the golden acrylic, like I say, this has worked out as one of the best for me in terms of working with foliage. Now, I want to just get some darker colours in this range, because obviously the gold, so that was bronze, wasn't it? Yeah, the bronze isn't as sort of striking, because, you know, it changes with the light, because it is that sort of metallic tone. So I think a golden acrylic in, say, like a Payne's Grey, would be interesting to see the difference between these two then. But this one, you can leave it on the plate for a long time, working whilst you're, you know, manipulating some foliage or whatever you want to do, and it will give you a really good result. So I hope this has been helpful. I've enjoyed doing it. I do like comparing things, and I quite like the idea of being a little bit more systematic about, you know, what we're doing. I'll probably pop these into a sketchbook just so I know which is which, and then I can use them again in the future and know exactly what I want, what effect I'm going to get, and just grab it and go.
So I do hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I had a great time getting my paints out and experimenting, and I'm looking forward to sticking all this in my sketchbooks. So I'd love to know which one was your favourite. I've popped up the numbered pictures there. I hope you can see the numbers okay. So if you drop me a comment and let me know which number, I'd be really interested to find out which was your favourite.
Top left there is my profile picture. If you hit the bell and all notifications, once you've hit that, that will let you know whenever I've got a new video coming out. And bottom left there is another video I think you might be interested in, so go check that one out too. Take care of yourselves, and guys, see you in the next one.